From Will Estes being unsure about Eddie and Jamie's romance in the show, to how Frank Reagan makes the series so great, let's find out why the Blue Blood star hated the idea of Eddie and Jamie romance but warmed up to it later, starting with how he was unsure about showing Eddie and Jamie together, with the 13th season moving forward and Jamie almost getting paralyzed. I'm more interested than ever in what's going on. But turns out, even though Eddie and Jamie have become one of the best couples on Blue Bloods, Will Estes didn't like them together at first. In fact, the actor says that he was against Eddie and Jamie getting together initially. Estes thought that once Jamie and Eddie met, the story would lose its tension. That sounds a little crazy, doesn't it? But wait, let's hear the guy out first. When he was asked about what he liked best about the relationship, he said he didn't want them to get together because that'd be the end of the story.
Am I going to be getting a love? We'll see. I certainly hope so. I think Jamie's a good guy. I think he deserves a companion in season 3. So, but the truth is, I don't know.
But you would like to.
And this was mainly because of what happened in The X-Files, because the two characters with tension and drama between them kept the show going. But it looks like Estes has changed his mind about the whole thing now, and it's because of a pretty solid reason. Estes' dramatic change has a lot to do with working with Vanessa Ray. Apparently, it's one of his favorite things about Blue Bloods, and I can see why, because the two definitely have some serious on-screen chemistry.
We're kind of always willing to say, we're partners and that's it.
I think beyond their families and whatever, they're the most important person in the other person's life.
I have feelings for you. I have for a long time.
Estes went on to say that he's probably shared more screen time with Ray than with any other actor he's ever worked with, including his family on the show. Everyone's happy that this couple's been going strong for a while and even got married 3 seasons ago. In case you're wondering though, his co-star was all for the romance. Vanessa Ray saw the chemistry between the characters from the very beginning, and she knew that we were rooting for them. In fact, she even joked that she wanted the writers to drag out their relationship for as long as possible, just to keep fans on their toes.
Like, I'm going to trust this character to me, but I've been loved and cared for all along, and I'm really lucky to be a part of these people and this cast and the crew and the girls, and everything was so great. And Marlene is...
So far, because Jamie was so close to dying, he and Eddie have had to make big changes at home and at work. But there's not much reason to think that the couple won't get through these changes and end up closer than ever. Given how much Estes and Ray enjoy working together and how important their stories become on the show, you'll definitely see a lot of the power couple as long as the show's on. They say that opposites attract, and these two are the perfect example of that. But how did their relationship come to be, and why did it take so long for them to get together? It wasn't an easy journey, mainly because of Jamie's romantic history. He's had quite a few love interests throughout the series. They've all been different from each other, but none of them really seem to stick. From Sydney Davenport to Officer Eddie's predecessor, Officer Renzulli, Jamie's relationships were always a bit boring. But then Eddie came along and everything changed. Jamie and Eddie's relationship started out as a simple partnership. Eddie, who was originally introduced as Officer Janko, was partnered up with Jamie after his former partner retired.
In New York City, I don't know if everyone knows that all over the country, but he can't walk down the street in New York City. To walk around with Nick in New York is to walk around with royalty, because of course he did NYPD Blue.
Reagan, I really do appreciate you helping me out with this.
The two had an instant connection, with their banter and quick-witted remarks making them fan favorites from the get-go. But it wasn't until season 4 that their relationship started to take a romantic turn. In the episode Lost and Found, Jamie and Eddie shared a kiss and fans went wild. It was the moment I had been waiting for, and it was finally happening. Everyone doesn't love the show entirely because of Jamie though. The key to the show's success is definitely because of the Reagan family, and the youngest member of the family was just one part of that. You feel like a Reagan when you watch Blue Bloods. To say the least, there aren't many TV shows about a whole family of police detectives doing their thing. The show's almost entirely about how the Reagan children, their father, and their grandfather interact with each other. What makes it different from other shows is that their most important relationships are with each other. On other cop shows, you're lucky if you see a connection between a parent and a child or between siblings. Here you can see the good and bad sides of the Reagan family's personalities, as well as they all fit together as a unit, bound by love and blood. Obviously, the show doesn't always follow this pattern. At one point, it focused on Danny's marriage to Linda, and now it's giving Eddie and Jamie's marriage a little more story time. But this works, and it works well, because watching the show makes you feel like you're a big part of the Reagan family yourself. It's not just about the Reagans though. The show's different because of its focus on family as a whole. The ongoing fight between Jamie and Danny has shown how important it is for families to work together. During season 13, they have a fight over their jobs. Jamie's more methodical and Danny's more intense. The situation gets worse when Danny's passed over for a promotion and Jamie pulls him away from a case that is important to him. In the end, the two brothers figure out how to help each other as cops and as brothers. This is a plot line you don't see very often in police procedurals. Most people think that, like many other families, they will find a way to get along again, no matter what. Even if they don't get along or do different things during the week, they still get together for Sunday dinner. While I'm on the subject of the presentation of a family in the show, I should talk about how it affects the characters, and why that makes Blue Bloods such a great procedural show. Frank's role as a father affects how he thinks about crime. A procedural has to focus a lot on legal cases, but this show's different. Why? Well, it also looks at the politics of policing and the kinds of problems that can come up between the top cops and the people who live in the area. The show usually digs deeper into Frank Reagan's job than Law and Order. As a commissioner, he's to deal with budgets that are too big, bad press, and the horrors of playing politics. It's not like the one-and-done cases that his kids have to deal with every week. In other words, he's like a dad to everyone, even the people he works with. Okay, I get it. There have been a lot of police procedurals with a chief as a father theme over the years, but I think this one's different, mainly because Frank Reagan's work on Blue Bloods is the only one that really shows how important family is to him. The show also doesn't avoid the hard parts of trying to be a leader. Frank's a master at keeping all these warring groups in check, but he's only human, so he gets angry and makes mistakes based on his own passions and wants. On the home front, he worries that he's setting a bad example for Danny, and he's still very sad about his dead son Joe. Even when he's at odds with his daughter Erin, Reagan's shown to be a good person. Again, the show's focus on family makes him easier to understand than he might be on another show. That's all for why the Blue Bloods star hated the idea of an Eddie and Jamie romance.